everybody for coming tonight. This is one of our, it's one of the nights of the year that I look forward to the most, because everything that you do all year long, year after year, involved with the Kent Sister Cities Association is culminates in the kids' experiences. And so tonight we get to hear from all of the youth ambassadors from representatives from each of the youth ambassador crews this year, and hear about their experience and what they learned, talk a little bit about the relationships that they formed, and I'm looking forward to hearing all the stories. We also get an update on the Kent International Festival, which is going strong, and we're so proud of the Kent International Festival. They have some big news from this year too. They made a big step on their own. Yeah. And so we're very proud of them, and we're excited to hear where they're headed in the next few years. But first, I'd like to introduce Mayor Ralph. Mayor Ralph has a long relationship with Sister Cities, and I'd like to let her share a few thoughts for the night.
Good evening. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. I have to second what Tracy said. I love this evening. It is so much fun to get to hear the stories about everything that you guys have been doing for the year, in particular your trips over the summer. So I'm going to tell you that I don't get to stay for the live presentations, but I will be watching the video as soon as multimedia gets it posted. I am extremely proud of our Sister City program and love to tell anybody about it that I can. On Tuesday, Mayor Backus from Auburn and myself were invited to the Japanese American Society annual fundraising gala in Seattle. And they had us come up, and we got a chance to talk about why Sister Cities are so important. We had an opportunity together to travel to Tamba in October and spend some time there. And so we got to share with the audience on Tuesday exactly why it's important. I'm going to give you just a really quick story. A lot of you know I was an exchange student to Tamba when I was in high school. When I got to go back this October, I met my host family again. My mom and my dad and my two sisters and brother showed up at the high school. There were tears. There were hugs. It was an incredible thing. And I say that, and then the next day we went to lunch, and probably 20 of my classmates came, and they brought pictures, and we sat and we visited all the way through lunch. And it was, I don't even know that I've got words to describe it, but I want you all to know that when we talk about that this is for life, the relationships that you make, that's the example, right? The fact that 33 years later, I got to see my family. I got to introduce them to my kids. It was an amazing day. Got to go back to the high school, and there's nothing else other than the work that you guys are doing in those one-to-one relationships and sitting down in somebody else's living room or at their kitchen table and learning about them and inviting them into your home. There's nothing that can replace that kind of bond. We can talk all we want about diplomacy and governments getting together and businesses getting together, and at the end of the day, it is the one-on-one getting to know each other and taking care of each other. And I promise you, the potential for it lasting a lifetime is very, very real. So super proud of all of you and the work that you're doing. And thank you so much for representing our city so well. Very, very proud of that, and glad that we get to share your story. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ralph. I think we're particularly fortunate to have this personal experience follow your journeys. So, but before we get going too much further, we're going to start with recognition tonight. And then we're going to move into the presentations. So we're going to do this alphabetical. So Anna, will you join us and to present the certificates for our Sunfjord youth ambassadors. And ambassadors, after you get your certificates, stay up here so that we can get you all together in a picture with the mayor.
So we had two lovely ladies represent us from Kent this year. They did a great job. They ended up getting a bonus day in Norway because their flight was changed or delayed, and they did a great job. They had to stay at a hotel on their own because they were 3 or 4 hours away from their actual host cities, and they'd been dropped off. But they did a great job and have some great memories that they'll share later tonight. We'd like to recognize Margaret Stewart. And Meher Dolakai.
And Anna, do you want to stay with the girls? Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go with TJ. with Tamba.
I've got 2 youth ambassadors here tonight, and we actually do a 2-year commitment. So they've completed their commitment this year in 2019. They traveled to Tamba in 2018. Could I have Aiden Hankey come on up and Shirley Wong? Oop. There's Shirley's. Oops. And Aiden. All right.
Thanks, TJ. Okay, and Lucy for Yangzhou. Yeah.
Thank you.
This year, we were fortunate enough to send 3 teenagers from the Greater Kent area to Yangzhou, China. Stephanie Garcia. Kip Higginson. And Vanessa Rodriguez.
Lucy, can we keep you for just a minute? We're going to do, okay, so let's get everybody to, let's pull together so we can get a great picture of all of you this year with Mayor Ralph. Do you, okay. You want her in the middle? Great, thank you. Oh. One more? You got it, John? Okay, all right. Let's give them all a hand. The good news is this is going to unfold and you're going to get to hear all their stories next. Kick off our presentations, we're going to start with Kent International Festival. So I'd like to introduce you to Nancy Skipton. She has been, how long have you been involved with the festival, Nancy? Yeah, are we 8 years? 11 years. 11 years now, and Nancy's been around from the beginning. So she has watched it grow, and she has nurtured it, and built it, and grown it, and so it'll be fun to hear her talk tonight. I also, so the way we're going to do this, Nancy will go first. She'll introduce the Kent International Festival. Then we're going to just go alphabetical. So we'll go to Norway, then we'll go to Japan, and then we'll go to, Sunfjord, Tamba, Japan. So anyway, Nancy, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tracy. It's my honor to be here as the Kent International Festival Executive Director and to share with you about our event. Our festival depends on a huge team of supporters every year to plan and hold the festival. Our festival continues each year truly because of the efforts of this team. Our festival celebrates our city's heritage and diverse culture, while at the same time giving us the opportunity to learn from each other and learn about the people who live around us. Like the mission of the Kent Sister Cities, we have the goal to foster a greater sense of community, a feeling of person-to-person unity and understanding with all the populations around the world, as well as all the cultures living right here in Kent. We believe that we are stronger and more connected to each other when we know more about each other, when we just know a little bit more about what makes us us, where we came from, and the types of things we like and we celebrate and the ways we do that. I think our video from 2019 will illustrate our festival's mission and vision much better than hearing it from my lips. So let's watch.
Nice.
Cultural connections.
Join us as we explore the diversity of Kent. We We are here for the 11th annual Kent International Festival. It's hard to believe that 11 years has gone by. This is not a city event. These are all volunteers. The Kent International Festival is now its own nonprofit. Nancy and Dave Skipton are in charge of it, but they have a huge community of folks that come together as a committee and meet all through the year to make sure that this event happens, and everybody here is a volunteer.
And I am president now of the board. So the shirt is worn by the volunteers, of which I am, in helping out today to make this a successful event.
I have been coming here for a long time and I've been organizing it. So it hasn't made a difference that I'm a council member. I have enjoyed being part of this group. Even though I had a lot on my plate, this is something that I want to stay connected with.
That to me is the heart of the Kent community. There are so many people that have taken so much time up until this point and then are spending their day on this beautiful Saturday volunteering to make sure that this festival happens for that community. And I don't know, it makes Kent a pretty special place.
In a community like Kent where we are so diverse, it's important for people to be able to share where they come from and share part of their background. And again, for us as residents to learn about, where those people come from and what they bring to our community that makes it such a great place to live.
If we don't know a culture, we often end up filling in the blank with misinformation. So the Kent International Festival helps us get real with the community that we are.
If you look around, this is the Kent community. We talk about bringing the world home. We brought it to Showware today.
We are lucky to have a place where it's easy for people to get to, and we have hockey games, we have concerts, we have so many things that people can come see here, and it's not just our residents. We bring people from outside of our community to come and learn more about what Kent has to offer.
We've got people from all over the world that have decided that Kent is the place they want to live, raise their families, and be a part of. And they're here performing and dancing and singing, sharing their food, all of those things that make a community.
Most of these people are from Kent that are entertaining us.
We're hoping to make it bigger and better every year. So if anybody wants to learn more, they can visit our website, they can volunteer, if we're missing a culture or missing, entertainment, we need to know. We don't know that. So anybody is welcome to participate. We just want to know about you, and we are excited to learn about every single person living in our city, and everyone's welcome to this free event.
Every year it grows and gets better. We see more and more people, so it's a really exciting day.
So I hope you enjoyed that. It gives you a little flavor of what it's like to be there on the day of the festival. As it's been mentioned in the video and by Tracy, Kent International Festival became its own nonprofit in February of this year. It was totally a labor of love to get that to happen, but it finally did. We were very excited. We have been part of the Kent Sister Cities Association for over 9 years, and we're really grateful and thankful for all the amazing support we have had from them during our growth period. I'm really grateful also to be welcomed as a member of the Kent community, and especially to be part of the people who are welcoming others into Kent's incredibly diverse city. So what's happening next year? That's going to be our 12th annual Kent International Festival. It'll be on Saturday, May 30th. We're back to the Saturday after Memorial Day, which we're very happy about. The festival will continue to be free. It'll be held at Assessor Showware Center. The great thing about that is there's plenty of free parking, plenty of room for everybody to get there. They can be at the festival all day long. They don't have to spend a penny unless they decide to buy some delicious food from our food court or spend money at one of our cultural vendors' booths out on the plaza. So we would like everyone to bring their family, bring your kids, bring your friends, bring your grandma, bring everybody and join us next year. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today.
we're visiting Norway now, so we're heading to the Sunnfjord, to our Sunnfjord representatives.
Hi, everyone. My name is Margaret Stewart, and we two are the representatives from Norway for the Kent Sisters City Association. I'm a sophomore at Thomas Jefferson High School. My exchange partner is the girl in the yellow sweatshirt. Her name was Maren Ardal, and she would be a current sophomore in the American school system.
My name is Meher Dalakia. I'm a senior at TJ, and my partner is the girl in the glasses. Her name is Eden Overstrand, and she would also be a junior.
So going to Norway was a really, really amazing experience. It's really hard to describe in words, as Mayor Ralph was saying, this connection that you build. I really loved it because it really challenged me and forced me to become the best version of myself possible, and I'm really, really thankful for it. So we tried lots of new things, and a lot of them ended up being physical activities, one of which being kayaking. And while we're both from the Pacific Northwest, kayaking wasn't really something that either one of us frequently did, for reasons that we kind of found out during.
So the view was absolutely beautiful. We were at Margaret's partner's cabin, and we fell in the water, or we got water on us. It was very bad, but it was really fun.
Another experience that we both got to try is hiking. There's a tradition among the Norwegian ambassadors to go hiking at the Via Ferrata at Lyon, and it's basically this sheer rock face cliff that you climb up with like halters and harnesses and everything. The group before us climbed it. We did not. There's a skylift that goes up and down, but we did hike at the top for a while. So.
Yeah, we had a very nice walk. It was very leisurely. It was great. So one of my favorite things about this trip was the connections I got to make. So we got to meet our ambassadors' friends and family. And this is us meeting the representatives from Førde, from the municipalities. And we still keep in touch with all of them. And it's just amazing to see that we made a genuine human connection while we were there.
There were also a lot of really funny teenagery moments. We had a lot of fun taking pictures and having like campfires. And when we went to Bergen, which is like the big city, because the cities that our exchange partners live in are very small. The largest one is about 1,500 people. So this was in Bergen, and we had a lot of fun just kind of roaming around the city with our host families. It was a lot of fun.
So we went on this bike ride one day. It was a 20-kilometer back and forth, and our butts were very sore by the end of it. It was not the best day to do it because it was pouring rain, but I mean, even for the rain, it was still really beautiful.
So Maren, my exchange partner, she has a friend that runs a farm. His name is Henrik. And Henrik was amazing and decided to give us a little tour of his farm. So he's the one on the phone talking to someone while he's driving the tractor. And so he mostly has cows. So we got to pet his cows and hang out with the cows and feed them. And then he hitched us up in the back of his tractor and went on top of the mountain that they live on. And we got to see more cows at the top and swim in like this abandoned dam thing. It was really cool.
There's also, this is the view from on top of the mountain, so that was one of his cows. We also got to name a couple of them, which was interesting.
So one thing that really stuck out to me about Norway was the abundance of wildlife, and it's a lot of wildlife that we don't really have here in the wild. For example, this is one of the roads that we had to drive to get back to the small towns that our host families lived in. And as we're driving this windy road, this group of sheeps decided to lay down and hang out next to the cars. And you also see a lot of examples of things like this while you're driving, while the car is moving, and they're in the middle of the road. So there's a bunch of goats here that decided to stampede down the road while traffic was happening. So that was fun.
And every single time, Margaret and I would make them stop the car to take pictures, without fail, every single time.
We also got to try a lot of food, which was really exciting for me because I really love to eat. We got to try a lot of traditional Norwegian dishes. And before we had left, Maren and Iren had told us that the Norwegian diet consists mostly of meat and potatoes. They were 100% not lying to us. Maren's host mom, Siri, she made us this dish called raspabolle, and it's what's on the right side. It's really difficult to describe, but the best way that I can describe it is coagulated mashed potatoes with a piece of sausage in the middle. And then there's also bowls of meat next to the coagulated mashed potatoes, and you proceed to put more meat on top of them. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
All they said about it was that it was weird. And so when I told my host family's mom that I didn't like it, she didn't believe me.
Going off of the food thing, they have a lot of really amazing bakeries and sweets. I have a big sweet tooth, which is probably not great, but it was very nice here. This is a picture of Maren picking out some food at their local rundown bakery. This was probably the nicest bakery I've ever been into. It was really good.
So while we were there, we got to see some interesting food items. So the picture on the left there is fried chicken chips. On the right is something called liver paste. Neither Margaret or I had the guts to try it, but it existed.
So overall, going to Norway was a really amazing experience, and I feel like I'm a better person coming out of it than I was going into it.
I think we got out of our comfort zone so much more than we would have thought. And you have this perspective of what it could be, and it's so much more than that.
But it's also really important to note that while we did a lot of really fun stuff in Norway, we did a lot of fun things here at home in Kent. For example, Mayor Ralph arranged having a meeting with her and a surprise trip to the police station, which was simultaneously cool and terrifying because I've never been that close to a police officer and his dog before. And we took pictures all over the town, including the famous Kent sign.
And so one of our first bonding experiences was 4th of July at Lake Meridian Park. So we all huddled up in 7 different blankets, and we got this bag of chips in between us, and we just talked the whole night, and it was really nice. And we went to a Mariners game, and they won, so that was a good night to go.
We also did a lot of really traditionally Seattle things. For example, we went to the EMP, which was probably not a great move because while their English is really amazing, American culture was probably not something that they were super familiar with. But we also went to the Space Needle and went shopping a lot.
We also took them to very traditional American type outings. So we went shopping at South Center, and they liked American fast food a lot, so we went to Domino's.
So one of the girls' birthdays is in April and the other is in June, and this exchange happens in July. And so we decided, why not throw a birthday bash for both of them? So we went to Costco, got a full-size sheet cake, piled it up with as much frosting as we could, and gave it to them.
They got through about 2 bites, but that was an accomplishment, so we're proud of them.
So one thing that's really important to note about this program is that it really reaches through generations of kids experiencing it. These are some pictures from past ambassadors. They got to do a lot of things that we didn't because we just didn't have time. So for example, they went whitewater rafting. They were in a different town, city than we were. And it's really interesting to talk to all of the various ambassadors and all of their personal experiences that not everyone may have gotten. But the note that you really see throughout all of them is that it was amazing and we'd all love to go back.
And so the boy in the hat over there is Nathan Chrisman. He was our mentor, so the youth ambassador for last year. And he moved to Colorado over the summer, and his exchange partner and their cousin visited him and stayed with him for a couple of weeks over the summer. And so it just goes to show how long these connections can last. And the picture over here is the girls in their traditional dresses, which cost about $5,000 American.
And then we have a small little video because sometimes, like everyone was saying, videos express things that words can't. So. Okay. So, tusen tak. We really appreciate you talking to us, and we want to give a big thank you to KSCA and all of the parents that made this possible. Thank you. This was a really amazing experience, and I can never express how thankful I am for it.
Thank you. Great job. Okay, Tamba.
My name is Cassandra Parsons. I go to Kentwood High School, and I'm 15 years old.
Hi, I'm Vaughn Williams, and I'm a junior, and I currently go to Kent Meridian High School. And we are 2019's Kent Sister Cities ambassadors for Tamba, Japan. And we also have another ambassador from Kent named Jackie Okamoto, but unfortunately she wasn't able to make it today, so we'll be trying our best to present her story for her. And so first it all starts with the departure and arrival. So leaving to Japan was a bit of a rocky experience because our gate actually got changed 3 times. And so we were walking back and forth in the airport for at least 45 minutes. And eventually we got on the plane, we made it to Japan, and we got on a bus ride for about an hour and a half, and we got to see the beautiful scenery of rural Japan. And it was one of the things you only see once in a lifetime. It was very amazing. And so first went again to group activities. And so first we went fishing. And so it's not fishing with it's not fishing like a fishing rod. We had to take our shoes off and get in the water to grab the fish. And grabbing fish for someone who hasn't grabbed a fish before is very, very interesting because extremely slimy. But the food after we caught the fish, we got to cook them. They boiled and fried them, and they were so good. A word we learned was oishi, which means delicious in Japanese, and they were very oishi, oishikatta. And then next, we've visited many temples in Japan. As you can see, there's a golden temple in one of these photos, and that's actually called the King Takuji. And it's a golden temple that was made in... Can't remember. It's very old, guys. And then we also went to another temple in Kyoto, and that was also very interesting. It was we got to see Japanese street food. Is very good to try. And so here is our fellow ambassador Jackie's host family. She actually had the pleasure of having 2 different families. And so her first family was the Omata family, and her host brother was Yuto Omata. And her second family was Yuzuriha something. It's Yuzuriha Hamada. And so those were her 2 families, and she actually got to host them. And she said it was the best thing ever because she got to experience 2 different families, 2 different not cultures, but 2 different ways of living life in Japan, and she loved it very much. Next is my host family. My host family was the Hirose family, and so my host brother was Kazuto Hirose, and he had a twin brother named Yuto, and they were the most amazing family I could have wished for. We had so many fun things. I actually got to spend my birthday in Japan, and they actually took me to a birthday dinner, which was very nice and unexpected because I didn't know they knew. So
It was on this thing. My host family was the Onezeki family. My ambassador that I ended up hosting over here in Kent was Mako. She's done testing by now. We still keep in touch. Her mom is a great cook. I love her food. That was the one thing I wanted to eat all the time was her food. Her father was also really funny. He was a comedian. He would make me laugh all the time. Her little sister was very timid. I thought she hated me at first, but she actually was just very shy, and we ended up like having an awe moment. We made origami together, and that was like our bonding moment. Next one.
And something Jackie wanted to touch upon was the difference between American breakfast and Japanese breakfast. And so in Japan, the breakfast is very light, and there's like a lot of varieties compared to like American breakfast. Because with American breakfast, it's just like bacon, eggs, pancakes sometimes, if we get lucky. And then, and then for Japan breakfast, they have things like tomatoes, watermelon, like a lot of homegrown food. I know personally with my family, they actually grew their own like vegetables. And so the grandmother actually grew a watermelon. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then something I want to touch upon was cars in Japan, because in America, our cars are very like muscle car related, but in Japan they have all these very boxy cars, very like new, very upgraded. It's obvious they bought them recently. It's like very technologically advanced. Even their navigation system was pretty cool. And a fun fact, in Japan with the music radio station, it's American pop music, but in Japanese. And so we had to, it was very fun because we got to translate like, oh, this is what this actually says. Like, what? And another fun fact, in Japan, they actually park all backwards. That's because in Japan, you don't, like, to get your license, you have to be over 18, and you have to actually stay in like a dormitory, and like you live, breathe, not eat, but live and breathe driving for multiple weeks until you eventually get your license. And so they all have identical almost driving styles. So like it's hard to tell whose car you're in because they all drive the same. And it's very interesting.
My favorite thing about Japan was the food. Like, oh my gosh, the food. My favorite thing I had to eat was tangagai, which is like an egg, like kind of like a roll thing, and they have like 9 on a platform. You have like a little soup bowl. You can have like barbecue kind of type sauce that you put on it, as squid in it, like octopus. It just tastes so good. I also love their houses. Like they're not too small, but they're also not too big. Like they were kind of like in the same compact, very comfortable. And I could literally like eat in the kitchen while looking at the TV in the same spot, which was also fun. What I thought was interesting was the snacks. Like they had like 30 different like varieties of like snacks for like the same thing, like Kit Kats. There was like over like 100 flavors of Kit Kats. Same thing with like dried food, like whoa. They were like they were kind of like, what were they called?
I think they were shrimp chips.
Oh yeah, it just tasted weird, like shrimp chips. Then there was the toilets. The toilets were like, there's these squat toilets, and I'm like, I don't want to use those because it's literally a hole in the ground and you have to actually squat. And I'm like, that just sounds so I was like, that just sounds horrible. And I'm glad I never got to use one. Almost had to, but I never had to, which is great. Then there's also like these other types of toilets where they're mostly in like tourist attractions, all that, because foreigners can use them because they're like regular toilets. They have a lot of buttons and stuff. And like, if you hit a wrong button, it could mean something worse.
I just have to say, you've never experienced life until you tasted seafood flavored Kit Kats. And so overall, we just like to say thank you for this experience. Going to Japan was very fun. It was very enlightening. Experience a different culture you don't get to experience every day, and it's very unique and different from your own. And we've had a wonderful experience in Japan, and we got to meet a lot of people, and they were all very friendly and very welcoming. And we'd just like to say thank you for helping us have this experience, Kin Sister Cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that so we're just about to be on to our last presentation, but I think that you can see why we find this such a fun night. I think that one of the common themes that you will hear is how experiences experiences open up our kids' lives. It exposes them to the world. It gives them different views on things. And really, it boils down to we're all people, and we're connecting on a person-to-person level. So I think it's pretty beautiful. So I'd like to invite up our Yangzhou ambassadors to wrap up our night for us.
大家好. We are the Kent Sister City Youth Ambassadors to China for 2019. I'm Kip Higginson.
I'm Stephanie Garcia.
I'm Vanessa Rodriguez.
So we arrived in Yangzhou in June. We flew into Shanghai and then took a bus there. We spent 2 weeks in Yangzhou, and then our host families took us all to Beijing for 3 days and Shanghai for 2 days.
So in Yangzhou, I stayed with my host sister, Wenyan. You can see her on the top right picture with me. I stayed also with her parents and her younger brother. And of course, if you like to eat, then you will definitely love Yangzhou. In most of these pictures, you can actually see me stuffing my face with food, mostly all the time. And they have these turntables where 5 different entrees are placed on, and you can, as it's spinning around, you can actually get what you want to eat. So that's what we did. And we tried many dishes that included bullfrog, eel, duck, a lot of meat and fish. And I know that all 3 of us can agree on that Yangzhou fried rice was definitely one of our favorites out of everything. And the food was definitely on my mind every single day. It's the thing that I was looking forward to the most. One of my favorite things that we also did in Yangzhou was going fishing. This was actually my first time. I've never done it here. And my host family took the 3 of us to a nearby river, and they gave each of us our own fishing rods, where about an hour or so, I thought I'd gotten something, and it turns out I caught a crab and not a fish. And for me, that was pretty unforgettable. And luckily for Kip and Vanessa, they had also caught some stuff. That was pretty cool.
I caught the bigger fish.
He said he caught the bigger fish. Later that night, we ended up having dinner, all of us, with the rest of their family. And we cooked what we had caught earlier that day. Towards the end of our stay in Yangzhou, before we left to Beijing, my host parents booked my host sister and I a photo shoot. We dressed up in traditional Chinese attire, and we had our hair and makeup done. We then went to 3 different locations where we took a lot of pictures, and then came back to the studio to do a family one with all of us. This was something that I wasn't expecting at all, but I'm very grateful it happened because it showed me that they had really opened their arms and welcomed me in as part of their family. It brought me closer to each and every one of them. My host mother actually gifted me a silver bracelet, which I'm actually wearing right now, and told me that they had chosen the name Wang Wenxi in Chinese for me. This was actually very emotional and made my whole trip that much more memorable.
So when we arrived in Yangzhou at night, I got to meet my host student, Zhang Mengyang, but we call him Frank, obviously, nobody wants to say that. And we took that selfie there in the back of his family's car. We went to bed after that and woke up the next morning, our first full day in Yangzhou. His mom took us to a nearby noodle place near their apartment, where I learned that no amount of practice with chopsticks can ever prepare you for noodles. After the restaurant, we went to Ge Garden, which was beautiful, and after that we went to Dongguan Street. Dongguan Street was really interesting. All of the stores and the food and stuff that you buy there was modern, but all the architecture, the buildings looked like ancient China. The contrast between the 2 settings really looked incredible. It was a few days until I got to meet Frank's dad because he travels a lot. He works in Shanghai. But I finally got to meet him after a few days in Gaoyou, which is a small city near Yangzhou, when we went to meet more of Frank's family. He doesn't like to smile a lot, as you can see in the picture, but he was also really nice. So in Yangzhou, the families took us to a lot of tourist attractions, like a cultural center where we learned calligraphy and the art of pouring tea. They also took us to a museum and Slender West Lake. Slender West Lake was a large lake, man-made lake with a palace complex around it, built by the first Qing emperor to just hang out, relax, and go on vacation. He really liked to fish there as well because of the incredible luck he had in that lake. He was blissfully unaware of the swimmers underneath the water attaching fish to his hooks to make sure the emperor was never displeased. After 2 weeks in Yangzhou, the host families took all of us to Beijing. We got on an overnight train and arrived in the morning. After settling into our hotel on the first day, we went to the Summer Palace, where we walked around, looked at the architecture, ate ice cream, and went on a boat ride around the lake. Our second day in Beijing, they took us to Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City. The Forbidden City is where most of the Ming emperors and all of the Qing emperors reigned from, and Tiananmen Gate, right next to Tiananmen Square, obviously, was the entrance to the Forbidden City. Tiananmen Square is where the current government of China was founded in 1949. Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City were the two places I really, really wanted to go to in Beijing. Our third full day in Beijing, we got a private tour with a private tour guide and a bus who took us to the Great Wall, but as you can see, it was too foggy to really enjoy, so we left early. After that, we went to several smaller tourist attractions, including the location of the 2008 Beijing Olympics. We took a picture in front of the bird's nest there, the primary Olympic stadium. We woke up our fourth day in Beijing early to catch one of those futuristic high-speed trains to Shanghai, which got us there in just 4 hours. It was really fast. And after settling into our hotel there, we went to eat dinner at a restaurant nearby. It was a nice small restaurant with great food and a small statue of Mao Zedong near the door. That was an interesting sight.
After going from being at the restaurant, we had gone to a train station to head to see the Shanghai bun and the pearl, Oriental pearl. And later we went and walked around to the mall. We seen the boats on the river, and we got to see lots of lights. We got to the mall that probably the biggest mall I've ever seen, that was 7 floors. And we seen a lot of designer brands, like a lot of stores. Then we later went back to our hotel, and we got to sing happy birthday to my partner, Xu Beijing. Oh yeah. The next day, was it that one? Yeah. The next day, we got to go to our last day. We got to go to Disneyland, and we went on a few rides. And after we ate, shopped a lot, we got to see the show at the castle with lots of fireworks, and it displayed like princesses, cartoons, songs in Chinese and English. And after that great day, we went back home, and we got lots of rest to leave our next day.
We really enjoyed China a lot. The people there were really nice. The host families took great care of us, and overall, we had a great time. We'd also like to say thank you to the people who made this possible, John Holt and Lucy Del Cid. Thank you very much.
Aren't they impressive? Thank you to all of the youth ambassadors this year for such great presentations. One of the things, we started our night talking about how much we enjoy getting together and seeing this every year. I'm always amazed at how well-spoken our youth ambassadors are and how composed they are. I mean, this isn't easy to get up in front of everybody, but they do presentations. They've had these great, rich experiences. And then at the end for our annual meeting and appreciation night, they get up and tell their story. And I think it's very special. And I want you all to know how impressed I am. You did a great job. Yes, John? Yeah, that's a great point, John. Thank you. They did this recording live. Normally, we have the youth ambassadors tape their presentations early, and then the second presentation that they give of the night is live. But the taped version that's done earlier in the evening is what's broadcast over in our community. Tonight, they did it all live, and they did a spectacular job. Really good job. I have one ask of everybody tonight. This program is all community founded, community-based, community-supported. And I need two things from you. One, share that this exists. Share with your friends. Share with people in your community. Let them know that this is here and how to take advantage of it. You can refer people to the City of Kent website if they need to get more information, but talk about it. This is a really great program for the youth in our community, and so the more people we can share this with, the better. Thank you all for coming tonight. Visit, have more snacks, and have a great holiday season and a wonderful evening.
Last meeting for the year, so
yeah.
Take some snacks home, please.
Yeah. Lucy has membership forms if you want to join one of the committees, but stay connected. We appreciate it.